Okay, so what's up, everybody? Thanks for joining me and subscribing to my channel, commenting on my videos. Listen, I love when you guys comment on my videos and add to the conversation. But every now and then I gotta come, guys, and I have to kind of address some of the comments in the comment section, but not in a negative way necessarily. This is just about like I'll do a video about something and then we have people in the comment section ask me a question about it. They want to know certain things like advice, or they just want to know quick tips or whatever. I would say that if you have not got a birth chart reading from me, maybe you need to invest in one because it's really good. And that's where I can, really talk personally to you and break down certain planetary aspects. So just understand that there's a method to my madness. Now, see, I wanted to kind of focus this video on the 12th house because a lot of people are very interested in the 12th house. There's a lot of people that have experienced a significant amount of pain when dealing with someone associated with the 12th house. And, like I said, and I will always say, see, guys, y'all think that I just woke up one day and was like, hey, let me just do an astrology video because I know what the signs mean. No, I have put a lot of time. I'm looking at y'all in the camera. I have put a lot of time. Like, this is something I have been studying for years. Not only have I been studying, I have been doing observations with other people, on other people. Okay. Reading charts, talking to people, actively talking to people. So it's not about a matter of, yes, there's a mix of my opinion. I think that there's a mix of personal opinion in all things, that we do, whether we believe that or not. It just is what it is. But a lot of it has to do with observation, study, observation, research, applying. And I got my experience with that. And I told you guys from jump, I've had people not attack me, but just cordial conversation. And that's like, I'm open to that. All right. But do understand that I'm going to respond and I'm going to present a challenge because if I can learn something off of you, I will. Like, I won't deny that. But what I will say is, just like I told you guys in previous videos when I was talking about the 12th house, I've had people that say, oh no, well, the sign person doesn't feel it. It's just the house person that feels it. And I said, and I repeat, and I said, no, I can understand why you would think that, but the sign person does feel it too. The sign person feels it. They may not verbally say or acknowledge that they feel it, but they feel it. Okay? This could be all the reason why they run. Or deny the connection sometimes. Because when you deal with the 12th house, you are dealing with unseen things, unseen circumstances, unseen experiences, like things we hide that we want to be or we identify as personal to ourselves. And things in our subconscious that we don't want to remember. I'm going to even put a stamp on the fact that there's past life trauma there too. Possibly dealing with one of the same people that has highlighted or activated the 12th house for you. So you got to keep that in mind. Now, and I'm going to get to that deeper, but what and I've had some people have questions over other houses as well. Or, they're letting me know, hey, well, this is what this house means also. Now, I want you to understand, like doing a video on YouTube and the fact that I actively do people's birth charts. I'm doing people's birth charts now, as we speak, that I have to continue and finish. Okay? I'm not going to sit here and just be like, oh, well, let me give y'all every last thing. And I'm just being honest with you. I am being honest with you. Okay? And I would think that one would, understand that honesty and respect it. like I give you guys a lot of details, and you know it already. Like I give in from the place that I will read. So if you have had your birth chart read before, I might read something different. I might read your birth chart different. I might highlight certain details that maybe someone who's read your birth chart previously, or the way you would read your birth chart, you wouldn't, would not pick that up. And when I do birth chart reads, they're exactly like this. I tell people all the time, you know how I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you guys just like this? I do your personal birth chart read video just like this, except for I'm talking specifically to you and your planets, positions and synastry and stuff like that, or your own birth chart, like in your planet positions and placements, or if you're getting a synastry read, you in this other person's planetary positions and placements, what you need to work on. Now I'm gonna get more elaborate with this, all right? Because to the point of where I want to be talking to couples together, because it's beneficial for you to know the synastry chart of the person, or the chart of the person that you're involved yourself with. It's highly important. As a matter of fact, with yours, it doesn't really help if the other person is not aware of this as well. Like you're aware of it and you're trying to do all the things you need to do to change and to fix yourself and to fix this relationship and this situation. But if the other person is not in a certain awareness, they're not going to be so adamant about fixing it. They're going to even believe to themselves that there is nothing wrong. Trust me. So, with that being said, I take all of this into consideration. Now, when I'm just doing a regular video on YouTube, I'm not going to be sitting here. Listen, the video is only going to be but so long. And I'm only going to incorporate a certain amount of information in a video. Now, I could do separate videos. I could do separate videos and add on and add on and add on. Don't get me wrong. Okay? But in one video, I'm going to give you a certain amount of information. Like with one placement, I want y'all to understand, with one placement or with one house alone, I can go through so many details of that planet, that placement, that house. Is crazy. Like I could spend an hour alone doing that. Like seriously, and having conversations about it and how you can alleviate some of the effects of it and all of that. But I cannot do that. Or I could, but I won't do it. I won't. Okay? Now, so this is the thing. What I'm going to do, because I feel like, hey, I don't mind doing this. I'm going to go from that means the 1st to the 12th house, right? Just the houses alone. And I'm going to describe the houses and the energy of those houses. What I'm going to do, because I ain't sitting here trying to chastise y'all, but what I wanted to do is I want to go from the 1st to the 12th house. I'm also going to do a video about the star-crossed lovers, because I had somebody question me. They just asked a question of like, what is that? And I'm going to do a detailed video about that and explain it. And what I want you to do is I want you to go check that video out as well. Okay? So, not to mention, copy that. All right. So, I'm going to start with the first house. I'm just going to go from house 1 through 12. And I'm just going to highlight the aspect of that house and then a little bit more tidbits that I want to add in there for you guys. Just, just to highlight my understanding of it and, what I have observed and what I know about it. All right. So the first house. We know that the first house, well, let's just say it like this. The first house, because I know a lot of people that follow me, they're already into astrology a lot of times, okay? But the first house is representing this. Like, what you see of me, you see my persona, you see my little style I got going on here. If I tell you what my rising sign was, you would be like, okay, yeah, that suits her. She would be, a Sag rising. I'm a Sagittarius rising. Sagittarius in the first house, that is about someone who is more of a visionary. Their clothing, their design, the way that they dress, the way that they look is going to be somewhat futuristic, a bit unique. All right. Eccentric even. And now if I was to give you a list of individuals that we would see like as celebrities and stuff like that, you would be able to see how they're a Sag rising. Okay, and oftentimes Sagittarius rising does not fit in a mold of what you think they should be. But the way that I would present myself like this to you, as you might make a judgment or an assumption, or you might take note of that, of my behavior, how I would act or project myself and things of that nature. But as you get to know me deeper, and you get involved in my life, you start to see, oh, she's a Gemini, because on the path of the sun, this is what we have coming to us, right? The sun path is what we are experiencing in this life. Now, I want you to understand this, because, people, especially like if you're more into like the whole tarot and stuff like that, like I've heard people many a times say, you need to look at your sun, moon, rising, Venus, all those, and wherever there's that placement at. Like, let's say you're Cancer, wherever you have that placement at, that applies. No, it doesn't. Like, the strongest degree of what a sign would portray in your life as far as your demeanor, the way that you project yourself, your image in the first house versus your sun path, your sun sign, right? And your moon, your feelings, your personal feelings that you don't share with everybody all the time, that would operate and play out differently than your Venus sign. Now, and I would get into that. This is just bits and pieces of information. If you want me to go from there, drop a comment. And, like I said, I might be willing to have a lot more of these personal conversations with you guys, like on just like a members only situation or Patreon or something like that. All right. So I know I'm only supposed to be focusing on the houses, but y'all know that I talk more than that. And I've had people pretty much come at me and be like, hey, you should have talked more in that video. So here we go. So yes. So the point that I'm trying to make, and I'm using myself as an example. Let's take somebody that is a Leo rising. A Leo rising individual is going to exude a certain level of confidence, in their demeanor. They're going to project that. Now, there are some, do all Leo risings have confidence? No. You see what I mean? Or do they know how to project that confidence? No, not always, because there's a difference between confidence, ego, arrogance. A lot of times arrogance comes from a place of trying to be defensive or one needing to be defensive, okay? And it depends on what else is playing in the chart. Because if you have a Leo rising and they have their moon placed in like, let's say they have a moon placed in like Cancer, they're going to be less likely to show or present that arrogant side of them, or that confident side of them, if they want to be just kind of left alone, or they want to just be personable, or they're more like a personal person. Or let's say Cancer sun with Leo rising. Let's just put it like that. The moon too, but at different degrees, and it affects different. So. But could that arrogance still be there? Yeah. Or could that confidence still be there? Yeah. But you could find, as you get to know the person, you start to dig into the person's insecurities, or, you start to see more of their vulnerability. So this is how it works. That first house is representing, and whatever sign is sitting there, is representing the projection of yourself, the demeanor, even sometimes the way that we think. And because we're thinking a certain way, we're going to operate a certain way, and people see us operating that way out into the world, okay? It is very important, yes, because it is how we see ourselves. And sometimes we could be seeing ourselves in a way that other people cannot, or they don't know. So when I'm saying all this, I'm not saying all this to confuse you. I'm saying all this to let you know why this is just such a broad topic, why it would take more than 8 to 12 minutes on the YouTube channel to record this information and put this information out there. And just, it's deeper than that. But the first house is the house of self. All right? So, things dealing with the self. The way other people see us. Without even having to speak a word to us. Have you ever, like, seen somebody and you sum them up, and then sometimes you're right, but then sometimes you're like, I thought this person was this way or that way. It was because of their rising sign in that first house. So rising, ascendant. Okay? Now, let's move to the second house. The second house is, okay, well, let's go back to the first house real quick. First house ruled by Aries, ruled by Mars, because Mars rules Aries. So you got to keep that in mind. So whatever is falling here is pretty much about self-preservation. There's a little bit of aggression there because you want to put your best foot out there. You want to put the expression of yourself out there, your blueprint of yourself out there, of your aura. So your first house is acting as your aura. All right, second house. Second house is the house of Taurus, Venus. So the second house is ruled by Venus. Well, what do we find? What does Venus represent? Now, I'm going to go here because I feel like it needs to be said. I'm tired. Like, I hear this constantly that Venus represents love. Well, Venus represents beauty. And since people love beauty, they say it represents love. Venus is attraction, not necessarily love. And I think that because people operate more out of their Venus sign, that's who they're attracted to usually. And then with Mars as well, and whatever house is falling in, people love that Venus energy because it makes them feel good. But it doesn't really mean that this is love. Now, I feel like when you start talking about love and things of that nature, and somebody did comment on my video about the 12th house being unconditional love, and you're absolutely right. It can mean that. And this is where when people get hit here, that test of, well, can you really, really love somebody and not have to be with that person or not have to control what that looks like? You get what I'm saying? And there's other placements that activate this as well. But what I'm saying, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I believe that the love frequency, hate frequency has nothing to really do with a birth chart placement or not. Have you guys ever heard of, like, disclaimers? Have you ever heard of exceptions to the rules? Now, I myself believe, and this is just from, things that I know and I'm aware of, that we can definitely exceed our birth chart and defy it all. All right? It's hard to do for some people, but it's something that even a magician ends up learning. Now, so the birth chart is acting as some sort of a matrix. 2. I believe that people don't really understand the concept of what a matrix is. Okay, so just keep that in mind now, because this is what I'm saying. Because love can truly conquer all. Love can conquer bad compatibility. Now, let's go back, because this takes me back to Venus, right? Venus is a material in the second house, because Venus also rules the 7th house, Taurus and Libra. But let's go to the second house of Taurus. This is a material house. People can say all they want. Venus represents more than just money and stuff like that. Okay, fine. I'm not saying that it doesn't, but I am saying that the second house is the house of material. So you love and you're attracted to what is material. Value. Second house, value, worth, assets, what you own. Okay, like when I say assets, this couch. You got Venus sitting here. Let's say you got Venus and Taurus right here in the second house. So you might be a lover of comfort. You might go and you might want to go and gain or cop you a comfortable couch. Venus and Libra in the second house may want to go cop a comfortable couch, but they might want it to be like eloquent, an eloquent couch. Where that couch, are there any leather pull-out couches? I don't think I've seen it. Or maybe a recliner, or like that couch is leather. You go look at it, man, when you see it, it's just eloquent, but then you can flip it back into a recliner. See? Where is that not? It doesn't even matter the way that it looks. Shoot, you could just like beautiful furniture, period. You see what I'm saying? You could want a beautiful car. You could want a beautiful home. But what do you got to do to get those things? You have to either earn that yourself, like earn the money to get these things, or you either have to come across somebody else with the money to get those things. Even if you have to take out a loan. How much assets do you have is what the Source House is saying. What do you feel like you're worth? When Venus here, you just so happens to maybe feel like you're worth more than what, you're like, hey, I'm worth like what his money, his pockets can give me. Not his. You see what I'm saying? I'm worth what her level of beauty can bring me, not hers. See what I'm saying? Or whatever it is that's there. Because Venus and Scorpio may like a deeper version of somebody than versus their outer looks. Venus and Aquarius here can like, someone's quirkiness versus more of their outer looks. Okay. So, or like they have to have like a brain, beauty and brain or something. They have to be able to be beautiful and cop nice things. You get what I'm saying? So yes, and can Venus represent other things? Venus can represent other things of beauty, of comfort, of taste, of eloquence. Some people want to say love, but I bet, have any of y'all ever, because see, I don't got time to play semantics here, okay, and be in this fairy tale. Have any of you guys ever found somebody more attractive that you wasn't even interested in, that you found attractive because you was like, dang, I feel like this person can add some type of something to my life. Like they can add some type of money or value, leveling up. I could be comfortable with them. I don't got to work when I'm with them. Whatever the case may be, that maybe you are attracted to, and it grows into, that attraction grows into a love, or that attraction it entices some sort of feeling. Like a lot of times these people that we're saying that we love is because we're feeling a certain type of way when being involved with them. But and I'm not saying that Venus can't represent love. Just come here with me, because I don't want to just be snapping and going off. Y'all know I start ranting and I flip and I'm on the other side of myself, and then, we got a whole nother situation. All right. So just keep that in mind. That's what the second house brings. And it's ruled by Venus. And Venus is a lot more material than what you guys think. Venus is Madonna, material world, because I am a material girl. Second house. You know that I am living in a material world, because I am a material girl. Living in a material world, and I am material, a material girl. But see, why are y'all letting that offend y'all? Do you have a synastry with somebody that, your Venus, or their Venus is falling in your second house, and you feel like you don't want it to be super? I never meant and said it could be superficial, but it could be. Now, that's just the truth. It ain't nothing personal about anybody. The more that you can detach, see, and this is why people have problems with the 12th house synastry and these other, because people find it very hard to detach their personal feelings from things that just is. You know, people keep wanting to believe that their situation, that their life, everything is just so much grander than other people's. And really, you're just having your own unique experience. Now, that's why I speak for the outcasts in a way. Because, hey, outcasts. People like to make you believe that their life is just so much better, you know. But what happens is, once you can identify that, no, you know, you have a good life in this area, but it may be lacking in this other area, vice versa. Just like with so-called outcasts, like your life may seem like it's lacking in public or whatever, or to others, but it's fruitful in other areas. See what I'm saying? Okay, so let's move to the third house. So we got it. The second house is ruled by Venus. It's the house of Taurus, though. Third house, Gemini. It's house of Gemini, ruled by Mercury. So here in this third house, we have the house of communication. This is technology, some aspects of technology, especially the devices that we're using to communicate with others, okay? But the biggest piece of technology of them all, because we are a direct extension from it, scientists is even studying the fact that our consciousness exceeds far more further than our brain, and you know, the brain waves that they measure. And they're just like, well, how far is this, you know, the extension of consciousness occurring? Now I can get, and this is where I feel like I'm going to end up going anyways, y'all. I can get a lot more deeper than this, where I'm showing video clips and we're having more elaborate conversations about it. Because I kind of feel like a lot of people that follow my channel, that's really where they're at. They're not necessarily, they're making comments and they're saying little things here and there about a sign or a placement, but a lot of them are deeper. A lot of them are like, yeah, but I'm trying to figure out certain birth chart placements, who and where I coincide in this world with other people or whatever, because ultimately I'm trying to understand what else is going on here. You see what I'm saying? And they're looking for that knowledge. And, you know, I might, guys, start actually taking the time to go there with you, so you can actually see, like, this is what's being studied, this is what's being posed, these type of questions, this is the type of research that's being done, and explaining why, okay? So just know, though, that our consciousness expands far past our brain waves. Like, the brain waves, our mental state of being here on the physical plane, all right? But the third house still within itself is a very logical house. And logical doesn't always just mean what you can see here on earth. It doesn't. Or what is given to you logically. Or, well, okay, well, this doesn't make sense because this is in this, you know. Yes, that's a large part of it, but sometimes it's further than that. It's more than that. It's expanded more outwardly than that, broader than that. Because, like, someone who has heavy Mercury influence, I'm definitely not material, physical, 3D, just logical, knowledge based. But even working with the astrology, astrological, metaphysical planet size, I try to observe that, study that within myself, other people, whatever, and come up with answers on a metaphysical level too. That's Mercury for you all day. Mercury here, the third house, basically. Third house also represents siblings, aka family. Now, mind you, the fourth house is about family, but it's slightly different. Slightly different. The third house kind of throws you in these instances to where you're dealing with these family issues, problems, responsibilities, things of that nature, without even sometimes giving it a thought. Burdens even. Like sometimes without even giving it a thought. Fourth house is more like of the family that we have, yeah, but the family that we prepare, like, where our security lies. Third house, there doesn't have to be any security there, but just stick with me because this is my own personal way of reading, and I've had success with these observations. I had success with reading people's charts and was very accurate. This is how I know what I'm talking about. I'm not just coming up here spewing out information. Understand, I'm very strategic. That's why it takes me a hell of a long time to come back with more videos sometimes. And I'm going to try to change that. Okay. Yeah, but even with that being said, this is like our local environment. So if I was to get out here and I was to just leave my residence and go to the grocery store, go pay a bill, go pick up my sister, go pick up a cup of tea for my grandma, go to my brother's birthday party, attend my niece's dance recital. That is third house. If you have Aries in the third house, you probably would be someone that's pretty busy with handling these things. Like people would be expecting you to be doing so much, and you might even actually enjoy it. Or you might feel like it's part of your responsibility. You get what I'm saying? Libra in the third house may be like, hey, yeah, I want to help you out and everything, but at the same time, I don't think it's fair. Like when I call you to then show up for my sister's or my daughter's ballet recital or whatever, you always can't show up. You have an excuse. Hey, you know what? I want to help out, but at the same time, I have things to do as well. Like, I don't think it's fair that you guys are not honoring the fact that I have things to do as well. See what I'm saying? So the sign changes everything. All right. Third house is more of what is right, like what we're dealing with in front of us, what we can think of. So if you have Virgo here, you might be an obsessive thinker, a warrior. Some people could say when your third house is activated, like you have a childlike mind. You're very, very curious. This is where curiosity lies, thus the research, study, etc. Because you're going to want to find out things, okay? It's not the house dealing with the subconscious mind. It's really not. Maybe if you have certain placements here like Pisces, even Scorpio sometimes, because that makes it more of a psychological house. And because of your experiences, or you could be very wise, you can help somebody else. You can either be a counselor or something like that, or therapist, or people come to you to talk to you. Okay? You see how that works. All right. So, third house ruled by Gemini. There's a lot going on here. It can be someone doing multiple things or two different things, thinking two different ways, even split personalities almost. Two different lives. Really, it's one life. But maybe you have responsibilities over here. You got to handle responsibilities over there. You got to handle you might do things that you work on that people don't know. It just is what it is. Fourth house, ruled by Cancer. This is the moon house, right? So I know this is the family house. But at the same time, this is security. I look at this as the house of security. Security, security, security. And people say that family equals security. So with the moon ruling Cancer, though, there is a lot of things that are not illuminated here. It's almost like the fourth house don't really deal with I'm going to try to give y'all an example. But the fourth house doesn't really deal with what's actually going on all the time. It just seeks security. And it's like a support system. Yeah. So when you have like your mother and your father, this is the house of the mother as well. Okay. Granted. Or whoever played that mother role for you. So just hear me out. And it can get real technical. Like if you have a Virgo placement here in the fourth house, you can have a mother that kind of was like real nitpicky about the home environment. Okay, but listen, so it's something that I'm trying to say, and I don't want to lose my thought. So the moon, okay, so think about it like this, support system. When you need like a support in whatever, let's say you're driving your car, the tire flattens, you run out of gas, you are not a lot of times going to, especially like years ago, you're not going to necessarily call a stranger to come help you. You're going to try to call somebody you know. Usually your mom, usually your dad, usually, your sister, your brother, somebody in your family, somebody that you're close friends with, someone that you feel secure with or feels like there's a support system. And then if that happens to them, hopefully they will do the same for you. It's just that type of dynamic. So you're not really looking at the fact that, okay, well, this person just, they're in an abusive situation at their home or their house. They may be selling drugs out near the trap bando. They felon their grades. It's like you're not looking at the house. That's not the house necessarily of illumination. It's just about security. You're just looking like, well, I ain't got nobody else to call. Let me call my mom. Because you know that there's this endless amount of support there, because you know that in the world you have to have some type of support system. Now in today's world and environment, that this is an extension. Like a lot of people have created these extensions outside of their basic normal support system. And with these extensions, shoot, you got insurance companies, or you could be like, okay, well, shoot, I ain't about to sit here and try to coerce somebody to come help me with my tire. I'm about to boop, 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 get the person that does this job on the phone, really a secure network. So when you put the moon here, you deal with the moon. They say you're dealing with illusions, but really you're just not needing to look at anything more than what the moon needs to represent, what your feelings represent. Here in the fourth house, are you secure with your feelings, right? It's other people supporting your feelings. This can be about security of self as well. But the moon, this is not necessarily the house of truth or anything. This is not about anything like that. How many people have understood, undergone, experienced, however you want, family dynamics that were very toxic. You could have watched your dad get taken advantage of. You or not even necessarily be around. You could have had parents that were alcoholics. You could have had molestation in the family by one of the uncles or the grandfather or the dad or the mother. It doesn't matter. Could have had people on drugs, blase, fighting each other, talking to each other, nasty, dirty, foul, but you had nowhere else to go. But they just stayed there together. Like nobody thought if you went to go expose a molestation situation, you were told, Mel, you need to be quiet. Like it was your fault. Like, oh, well, he's dad. Like he's grandpa. He's the one who's bringing the money in. Like, did you tempt him? I'm being serious. Y'all know that these stories, this exists. All right. So the moon is always showing in this house of the fourth house. There's always something that could be not being acknowledged. People say, okay, well, it's hidden. No. Sometimes it's right there in our faces, but we choose not to acknowledge it out of wanting to be secure. Family, fourth house, ruled by the moon. Fifth house, house of Leo. Leo is like that rebellious teenager that's coming out of the family unit. And it's like, you know what? I'm done. I'm out of here. Y'all toxic. I can do this. I can run my own life. I was sitting up there in the house every day cooking and cleaning and watching my siblings. There's more out here. I want to have fun. Quit ruining my life. So Leo is like this rebellious teenager. The fifth house is ruled by Leo. So if you got a Sag, let's say you got Sagittarius in the fifth house, you gonna be, possibly all over the place, seeing different people, traveling, having fun, partying, not really wanting to be locked down. A serial dater. A player. A baby maker. Okay, no, because fifth house is also the house of the children. But this is a house of when you get Leo. This is a house of self-expression, individual self-expression as well. Following your heart. So no matter what else is going on in your chart. Now, if things are going on in your chart and you might want to follow your heart, but you feel like you don't have the emphasis, you never really get the chance. Other parts of your life comes up and diminishes that, or doesn't let you allow you to put focus on that. You will have to put in extra effort to do so, or whoever comes along and they slap whatever planet they got slapping sitting in your fifth house, that activates that house for you. And all of a sudden you're more expressive of yourself. All of a sudden you want children. All of a sudden you want to follow your heart. All of a sudden you start gaining confidence. Okay, so there you go. That's because this is the fifth house, and this is where you express your own individuality. Sometimes even your sexuality as well. Because we have individual forms of our sexuality, of our self-expression. This is like, if you got Taurus in the fifth house, you might want to present or express yourself by way of your things. By way of your beauty. Especially if Libra is here. And people may love it. I'm not saying that they're not. If you got Leo here, hey, Leo's comfortable here. And you can be very confident. You can do a very good job of that self-expression. Having that confidence. The way you dress, that uniqueness shines. So, this is the fifth house. I can go deeper. I can go more. I can just keep talking and keep talking and keep talking. There's a negative side of each house too. Let's move to the sixth house. Sixth house ruled by Virgo. Virgo represents work. The sixth house is the house of work and what we become responsible for. Third house is responsibilities too, but it's kind of like, hey, okay, well, it is what it is. Like, okay, I'll be up. Okay, listen, I gotcha. Hey, I can't come right now, but I'll be over there by 7. Sixth house is, oh my God, I gotta come right now. Because if I don't come right now, things are going to happen. We're going to miss the deadline. Things are going to fall apart. It's just not going to work that way. Okay? So, sixth house is definitely responsibility. But sixth house is understanding that, your independence operates off the back or comes off the back of someone else's sacrifices, right? Someone else's ability to make it to where you can gain this independence. Whether you're working on a job, it's something we're obligated to here in the sixth house. Whether you have your own business, whether you have to be there and be present to provide income for your employees, however you want to put it. This is where we kind of got to show up every day in our life. This is the work that we do. But not only the work that we do for the world, the work that we do for ourselves. And it's also about sometimes where we sacrifice more of ourselves in situations that are not really giving back to us. Like, okay, let's take employment once again. Some people will be like, well, in healthcare, I'm practically raising these people's children, but why is it that I'm not getting paid what I feel like I'm offering and what I feel like my work or my skill set is worth? I need a raise. You see how that works? Hey, we just ate dinner. I clean the dishes, you put them away. So this is like a balancing system. Because you take the three, you split it down the middle. 6. A balancing system. What are you willing to do to get out of a situation what you need? What are you willing to put in to get out of a situation, something valuable or something that you can use in your everyday life? This house, the house of Virgo, what can I use? Okay, well, I get the ideas and thoughts and all that, but when everything is said and done, what can I actually practically use? What can I use right now? I need something, this is about a harvest. This is about building up something, growing something more than building, because the 10th house is more about building. So it's like something growing, or planting. You're planting those seeds, you're planting that harvest to see something come out of it. It's the whole reason why you're doing something. This is the house of health, because we're dealing with cleanliness here, health, and even spirit on some levels, but not necessarily spirit outside of the body, spirit within the body. Okay, that's the whole other thing, whole other conversation. So this is health, and pets are here too. And some people say enemies. I also like to think of the 12th house as the house of enemies as well. But 6th house could be the house of enemies too, because you have to understand you're dealing with other people and what can make, what they say, best friends can make for great enemies. Who's eyeing your stuff? Who's eyeing your valuables? Who wants what you got? Do you eye other people's stuff? Do you want their valuable? Do you want what other people got? Okay, here we go with the 6th house ruled by Virgo. If you have let's say Sagittarius in the 6th house, you might be on a job. You could be literally a custodian, but you might be the executive of all custodians. People could literally be like, okay, really? So you feel like you need an office. Like you feel like you might be up in there making executive decisions, as a custodian, because Sagittarius kind of sees itself in this higher light, endless possibilities. Doesn't really like to follow. They want to be the trendsetter, So you might see a Sagittarius looking fancy on a job where they're taking care of children. And you're like, okay, really? You came in here with those long nails? Like, really? You just got your hair done? Really? You got heels on, you might have to run after that child. But I bet you they can run in them heels. And if they can't, they're going to call somebody else to do it. Hey, go get such and such. They just ran out the class again. Listen. That is the 6th house. Is there more aspects of the 6th house? You betcha. But I can sit here and I can keep talking about that over and over again. 7th house ruled by what? Libra. This is a house of Libra, ruled by Venus. 7th house of Libra, ruled by Venus. Here we go. Another aspect of Venus, but Venus takes on another turn. Venus becomes less about the self and self-possessions and the material and becomes more about other people. So here we see people kind of fighting for justice here. Libra in the 7th house could be about partnerships, it could be a lawyer, even could be somebody who wants to see after the rights of other people because they feel like things are not fair. Well, these people, they can't speak for themselves. Like, I'm their voice piece, I'm going to speak for them type thing. And they put their emphasis, their attention, their value onto another person. They like partnerships. You will see Libras roll with a partner. a relationship partner, a close friend, even a family member that could fill that spot. Because here we go, this is the house of decision making. It's hard to make decisions. Venus is here. Well, why would I settle for this thing over here when I can have this thing over here? I don't know what to do. You often see, well, the seventh house is good for relationships though, because this is dealing with partnerships. But Venus is here. So this is why, so let's say you get in a relationship with somebody, and especially like if they're aspect in your seventh house, you're going to tend to want to be with them and be around that person because Venus is attraction. You're attracted to that person. You feel comfortable around that person. Venus also represents being comfortable. You see a certain type of beauty in this person, and it could even be something that they do, like that they stand up for, their authority in certain situations as well. Eighth house of Scorpio, ruled by Pluto and Mars. I've had people say seventh house is the house of marriage. I like to think eighth house is, and that's the way I was taught anyways, but because I'm looking at marriage as a contract. You're making a contract with another person to say, this is my obligation to you. This is your obligation to me. I'm not opposed to marriage being in the seventh house because I think that it's a more freer state of marriage, or partnership, what the progressive marriage will look like. Eighth house is dealing with money, loans, inheritances, business, finances as well. Anytime you're dealing with business, you're dealing with finances. That's how you connect things. You just connect it like dots. This is also the psychological house, where a lot of psychological issues that people they hold on to, that influence them, that affect them, is stored in the eighth house. Eighth house is where people store things. They keep hidden from other people. Anything you don't want anybody to know, it's in the eighth house. The more you have things aspecting the eighth house, the more you're going to keep things hidden in that type of specific area. So this is why when people's personal planets, like the sun, the moon, the Venus, hits the eighth house for somebody, even Jupiter, even Saturn, it affects it, and even why some people don't want to have a compatibility or a synastry with somebody that that hits their eighth house or activates them in some type of way, to where eighth house influence is there, because it is deep. Like, there are stuff that takes place, there are emotional bearings, there are things that you know about the other person, to where it's very hard to say, hey, me and this person are done with each other. Because they know too many secrets. They know a lot about you, and this person could have knocked over a bank together. Like, I never told nobody. You get what I'm saying? Like, you and this person could have done, or this person like on a psychological level, this person can activate psychological issues that you could have hid, or you thought were buried, or you don't want to deal with, and that could be too much for the person, like in the eighth house, or just people that they're coming across that's activating this house. It's a sex house too. This is house dealing with sex. Sex can bond people together. Mars representing our sexuality too. So is there no wonder? This is not just any sex. It could be, but it's like an emotional sex. If I'm out here and I'm for the streets and I want to sleep with as many people as possible, I just got out of a long-term situation, I just got out of a divorce, whatever I'm having happen here. Would I, if someone came along and they set their sun, moon, especially moon and Venus, sometimes even Saturn, in my 8th house, where it's triggering my emotions, I'm having these feelings, I'm feeling bonded to this person. Am I going to want to stick with that person? Am I going to want to sit there and deal with that person necessarily? Or do I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not ready to go here, and I might back off? You see how that works? Because there's a tinge of seriousness there, especially if Saturn is here, that I'm not ready for. Jupiter in the 8th house can mean plenty of sex. Someone who's exhibiting those traits, or with the person that's got their Jupiter in their 8th house. Big business. Transformation. You ain't getting out of this house without transforming in some type of way. I don't care if you know that it's a connection between you and that person, or you and that individual or that situation. You're not getting out of the 8th house. If you have sex with the person that's triggering your 8th house in any kind of way, you ain't getting out of it unscathed. It's very hard to forget that person, as a matter of fact. You're going to remember them. Somebody's going to remember the other person. You can remember it changed you, pushing you to, even if something negative took place here, it changed you. Okay, the 9th house. Okay, so guys, this is so what I'm going to do, from the 9th through the 12th house. From the 9th to the 12th house, I kind of take issue with this house when we're talking about personal relationships, because, okay, you think about it. After you go through the series of first through the 8th house is all the events leading up to a relationship, like leading up to our experiences, life growing up, leading up to a relationship, leading up to a marriage per se. He had kids, whatever. Now, after that, it becomes less about personal experiences with one another, and more about other things. Okay. Here is where we see like a relationship developing into like long, like a lot of years together. They've went through the struggle. They've sometimes didn't make it out, sometimes did. I feel like if you make it out and you're alive, daggone it, whether you're together or not, you made it out. This is where they've accumulated a lot of property and just experience together. And, it becomes about, their grandkids. It becomes about other people, versus the couple, if you talk about synastry, but just versus just what's been happening between the couple all the time. And this is where synastry or relationships between people represent a higher meaning, or a outwardly cause. You're dealing with other people a lot. The 7th house can show this too, but that's give or take. So you got to keep that in mind. And as I explain the houses, like, I'm not going to go into details about that in particular, but I'm going to just go ahead and I just want to highlight that 9th through 12th is very hard sometimes to define the relationship between two people in a relationship. Very hard to define. Or it takes a longer time to establish a relationship if your synastry is based in these houses mostly. Now, let's find out why. When we go to the 9th house, the 9th house is ruled by Sagittarius. The 9th house represents a lot of our beliefs, okay? A lot of our beliefs. And whether they're logical or spiritual or metaphysical, it doesn't matter. That's here. Our experience, the experiences we've had in this life that govern, that make us who we are. If we believe something, it's usually because, of a few reasons. Maybe we were told it, maybe we experienced it. And the 9th house is more about the experience of it, Maybe we've experienced some sort of phenomenon, whatever it is, whatever reason is taking place, that belief is taking place, we're usually feel like we're experiencing it or we're living out in some type of way. But the ninth house also represents cultures, philosophy. And this is where sophistication develops in travel as well. Sophistication develops, like a person whose ninth house is highly aspected, and there's planets hitting it. It is usually a person that is of some sort of level of sophistication, or they will get there in their life. They will reach that. They could be someone who is accomplished in education, not necessarily money, but you can see money here. Remember what I told you, tie things together. Access to education, knowledge, higher chance of achieving money. Maybe not like at first or not in your younger years, but you can accomplish it. And it depends on maybe your parents, had this, because there's a placement in your ninth house that demonstrates that a parent of yours would have had this success or, high achievement, putting you in a place or a better place to be traveled, cultured, learned, experienced. You can see this person or this ninth house highlighted. There's travel there. There is even often some sort of attraction to something outside of what you know, because it's like, there's a certain level of ignorance sometimes that we possess. The less traveled we are, the less cultured we are, because we can just tend to believe what other people tell us to believe. We can tend to have the experiences or live our experiences, live our life through other people's experiences. But once it's something about being able to witness these things for yourself. And I tell you, and I will tell you again, don't make no excuses for yourself. If you are a person and you're just like, well, yeah, that's fine. My parents don't got the money like that to go do this, and that. I don't got the money like that. I have this many amount of kids. I can't travel. Yes, you can. You can travel just by turning on your television, your phone, and seeing for yourself what another place, what another culture is like or about. There's no reason to remain ignorant about everything in life just because. And people take offense to the word ignorant. Ignorant just means lack of knowing something. Even sometimes lack of experience. Now, listen. There is nothing, even if you gotta save up, even if you have to say, go into the map and pick a place and save up. There's lots of places that you can access online to where they'll let you do like some type of payment plan. Just don't make excuses for yourself. I can't make a few excuses, but don't make everything it's about you growing and expanding an excuse. Because that is likely what you're going to play out. If you could put it in your mind, hey, I might not be there right now. I may not be doing that. I might have not traveled to that place yet, but I will. Then you will. Keep that in mind. But the reason why I'm saying this is because there is nothing like traveling. It's an expansion of your mind. That's what the ninth house is. Through your experiences. Like, I don't care, like when you go and you travel and you go to a place that's, outside of your usual, you have no choice. It automatically like opens up your vision, because ninth house is about vision, Now, so that's here. And I'm going to tell you, and this is like an attraction, like the person here could be of some other culture, some distance. Now, physical distance as well. Okay. And let's say you have Venus in Capricorn. I'm trying to pick, especially Aquarius. Okay. I'm trying to pick a sign that usually does not really deal with distance with people, and one that does. Venus in Capricorn, and you're in a relationship where your Venus in Capricorn is falling in somebody's ninth house, or this person is falling in, this Venus in Capricorn is falling in your ninth house. even though there's an affinity for each other, there could be a distance. And there's obstacles to that distance. There's obstacles to getting to each other. So you done met each other online, you've been talking, but now you don't got the money to get to each other. Or somebody's married. Somebody has some other family situation. So it's not like, it's obstacles to getting to each other. Venus and Aquarius, the situation plays out weird. Like you meet each other in a weird way. There's no reason why you and this other person will be together or be around each other or know anything about each other. But you do. And you love the fact that each other, like the intelligence off of each other, or the fact that like you plan for the future, but there could be some type of distance there. Like unpredictable circumstances that come in. You see each other here, but not, there. Like you see each other for this week or so, but then don't see each other for 2 months or something. It's some type of distance that can show up in this relationship because of culture, whatever, difference of beliefs, just distance, because this house could represent the house of distance. You see that in this house, you see this in the house of Aquarius, the 11th house as well. But I'm here with my stamp of approval, and I'm telling you right now, this house represents like a star-crossed lover type phenomenon. I'm going to do a separate video on that. But it's just about the fact that this is a spiritual house as well. So this is like where you meet somebody and you feel like they're your soul mate, but there are a lot of times you and this person can't really be with each other. There's other synastry aspects that brings y'all together. If there's a lack of Saturn somewhere in your synastry, it can be very hard to be together with this person. This person, you can feel like you have met your divine counterpart, your soulmate, someone that you truly meant to be with, but you with somebody else, or you got some type of family, or you just can't for whatever reason. Maybe you're ready, but the other person is not. But you and this person can also create that bond because you have some type of experiences together that are life-changing, or they affect your life, or this person can have a different background from you, or grow up like from a whole different place, but y'all had the similar experiences, and y'all, or somebody could also, and that would bring y'all together, the similar experiences, or somebody can also be like, this can be a counselor, patient, client, doctor, therapist type relationship too. But there could be a soulmate vibe, and you just are like, dang, like this person, I don't know what it is, but I connect with this person. A North Node sitting here could definitely do that. That's a whole nother video. I'm going to be doing the North Node videos. Hopefully I can put that out today, guys, because I have a lot of videos to put out, but you can see by what I'm saying in this video, I got a lot of content that I'm going to be putting out. You got to work with me here. And if you see me with this on, that means I put out a lot of videos. I recorded a lot of videos that day. So, whatever. Okay. So, House of Sagittarius, this is about faith. Some people, they rely on their faith to bring them out of situations. Or they can come back and they can tell the story. To where they kind of feel like, man, I had this calling, and it brought me out of the situation that I was in, or the drugs, or, the bad behavior, whatever. So, moving to the 10th house. The 10th house is ruled, with the house of Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. Sorry, the 9th house is ruled by Jupiter too. Let me say that. The 9th house is ruled by Jupiter. The house of Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. So you feel lucky. This house, like, by you learning, and I talk about that sophistication and stuff like that, and developing a philosophy for yourself, it makes you lucky. Because even though people say Jupiter is the parent planet of luck, Jupiter is about learning as well. Like, if you don't grab opportunities, if you don't grab a hold of opportunities when dealing with Jupiter, it's kind of like null and void. Jupiter is about learning. Jupiter is about education, a higher level of education. But it could be about spiritual and metaphysical education too. That's what's falling here in the 9th house. So let's go to the 10th house. Like I was saying, House of Capricorn ruled by Saturn. This is the hardship house, right? And when I say the hardship house, a lot of things can develop here. When everything is said and done, when you have a serious goal that you were trying to manifest, and you complete it and you manifest it and you see the success, you reap the rewards from your longevity, from the fact that you accomplished something. So in the 10th house, you may not receive immediate results. Now, if you were a person and your 10th house is highly aspected, especially by one of your parents, you might be reaping the rewards or the benefits from your parents' hard labor and hard work. You might be inheriting a business, but you have to keep that business up. You get what I'm saying? You might inherit funds. Because your parents could have put like some type of funds or something like that inside of an account that you can't touch until you're 18. Once again, you're still waiting. But if you're just walking, you can see some people living a lavish life with aspects of the 10th house, or they have that possibility. And when I say lavish, it's more of from a working. I worked and developed. Did somebody put in their blood, shed? Did I just say shed? Their blood, sweat, and tears into getting this achievement. 10th house can show you just constantly working though. But what people don't, and there's obstacles because like sometimes time doesn't permit, sometimes life doesn't permit. This could be someone, let's say you're trying to accomplish going to school. And you have a child. You have family responsibilities. So you take a break. You're like, okay, I'm going to take a break for 6 months. But that 6 months turns into a year. And that year turns into 2 years. And that 2 years turns into 3 years. And then you finally say, hey, I'm about to go back and finish this. You can see this with Saturn and Sagittarius. And you can see this with placements in the 10th house. Like a Sagittarius in the 10th house. Well, whatever is here, Venus in the 10th house, you can benefit off of the wealth of or the hard work of your partner. Hey, this is where it let you have some Venus placements or something, or let somebody's Venus placements fall in your 10th house. You would be wanting to you will be like, older people are attracted to this Venus person because this Venus person's beauty shines, their worth shines, and everybody don't feel like they're worthy of this Venus person if it's falling in the 10th house, or you have Venus in your 10th house or something like that. They don't feel like they're worthy of it. A lot of times people feel like they gotta accumulate something to give the Venus person, and this can make the Venus person have a hard time getting into relationships or keeping relationships, or you have like somebody that feel like they got that stability to come and try to bring it to you. Now, this is the house of public as well. 10th house is the house of public. And this is where people are kind of like trying to be on their best behavior. If you have heavy 10th house placements, you're going to more than likely be very aware of the way that you're acting, your behavior. You don't like looking silly. You don't like people taking you like for a joke or none of that. It can be hard for you to kind of break loose and let loose and, whatever. Because you have a sense of like this value, and hey, you want to present yourself a certain way. Now, not everybody. Because when you fail in the 10th house, or what's perceived as a failure, it's a very hard hit that you take. Because like everybody's going to see it. Everybody's going to be like, what? This, they're going to know about it. House of public. This is also the house of the father, or whoever played that role or position for you. It's a very stern, you have to be disciplined with what it is that you're doing. You have to be able to do it over time. So But the 10th house can be very rewarding. Like you can, if there's a lot of placements or you have this house highly aspected, you're going to be somebody that's like work oriented all the time. Like, and you could, like, you could actually be a person that loves what you do for work, even though it's hard work, because something has to give you the passion and want to keep going. Have Mars here. That's definitely going to give you the passion and want to keep going. But Mars in your 10th house, the public can see you as like attractive. Mars, Venus, the public can see you as attractive, sexually as attractive, a go-getter, very aggressive in your work. You don't give up. Or people are not going to give up on you. 10th house is a very practical house. Here is material belongings as well. Sometimes people, since it's a public house, people can see you and what your capabilities are, even when you cannot. And they can measure you off that. And you could be like, what are y'all talking about? I don't have those things. And they're like, well, if you don't, I don't know what to tell you, because you have the ability, you have the potential, you have this, you have that. So many obstacles though. But when it pays off, it pays off. 11th house. This is house of Aquarius. Ruled by Saturn. Ruled by Uranus. There's a lot of unpredictable things that goes on in this house. There's a lot of weird, quirky things. But this is another house of support that is outside of the immediate family sometimes. This is where you get those friends and they're like family. This is where you can depend on your friends and affiliations and facilities and networks and things of that nature to bring you in the life that you want or what you need at the time. But it's just unpredictable. Like if you get thrown out of your house by your spouse or for whatever reason, you go to your 11th house. And if your 11th house is aspected, you got friends that will take you in for a while to help you get back on your feet. Very unpredictable though. And it's ruled by Aquarius. So this is the house of like your wishes too. And your future. But with Saturn being here, it's something that you have to work at. Like if you want your future to be better than what the past was, if you want to have different experiences, you got to be willing to learn from your past experiences. But I always think of the 11th house as something that acts like the 11th house acts as a genie of some sort. But this is a very detached house too. So here you can have an attraction between two people that don't really get off the ground. Or it's hard to become romantic with this person. Like the friendship is there. The acquaintanceship is there. Like you can even trust this person. You can hang out with this person, tell each other everything. If this is a synastry aspect in your chart with another person, you have other synastry aspects there too that makes it romantic. You got for a very good relationship with your best friend. But the issue is sometimes the detachment. And which is this type of synastry is going to be very popular in this new vortex shift, paradigm shift. This type of synastry is going to be very popular, But the detachment here is what you would be able to have to handle, because it's like I explained with the 9th house. There's some sort of emotional detachment or distance sometimes. That sometimes emotional detachment can create distance between two people. And it's like one person could be left feeling like they want more out of the situation, but the other person is like, I don't know if I can give more. I don't see this as like one of those type of relationships. And like I said, this is another one of the houses that it's hard to define the relationship. You could find yourself, having sexual encounters with someone that you could feel very compatible with. You feel like it's your best friend. But it's like, well, why can't we cross over to this romantic thing? And sometimes they do, but there's still some sort of detachment that you have to take on and you have to be okay with in this house. This could be good for couples that does have feelings for each other, romantic feelings, but at the same time they may want to have their own separate houses, or they may be okay with time apart. Like, well, all right, oh, you're going out with your friends? Okay, I'll see you later on for dinner. Okay. Oh, you got work to do? Oh, okay, yeah. This is also an internet house. Like online, because I'm looking at this as like a current of events, networks. Here, highly aspected, you can have a significant online presence. Whatever's there. Jupiter and Scorpio in the 11th house, you have situations where like your friends becomes like a deep source of support, or your affiliations, your associations and stuff like that comes of some form of deep source of support for your business or like financial pursuits. But at the same time, you can have type of obsessions that take their place there, also, or just like people that you can't trust either, and you have to decipher. And this can also be like a very good aspect to do an online business. Jupiter, Scorpio, 11th house. Who would have thought? Jupiter in Leo, an online personality, Jupiter, actress, Jupiter in Libra, some type of beauty channel or something like that. I'm just like giving you, like, throwing some stuff out there. It doesn't, you can have other placements that, get you a beauty channel or whatever too, but I'm just, giving the fact, I'm just trying to give a description of the 11th house. But like I said, so you can live out your hopes and your wishes and your dreams here. But it has to come with a freeing of the mind of some sort. Breaking free. You can see that too, like using the internet to do some type of business to break free from work, a job, or whatever, change your life. Some type of way. You can meet your spouse online, or in some type of social setting, or amongst the friend group. You see how that works? Woo, woo, woo. Last but not least, the 12th house, the house of Pisces. Ow. House of Pisces, subconscious house of the undoing. That's why it's so painful. The undoing is whenever we can break free of a collaboration of events from previous lives, from present lives, from trauma, to heal ourselves and ultimately give it back up to the divine, up to the universe, release it, basically. So let's go very basic. We're going to just use an example. So let's say you've been put in the hospital because you had a stroke. The stroke is coming from some sort of something dealing with the blood not flowing good, and blood clots, or I don't know, something dealing with the heart, like the blood, not enough oxygen not getting here or there, but that ultimately is coming from stress. That's coming from the job or the kids, or you see how there's a chain of events that then you start rolling yourself up into. And before you know it, you can't take it anymore. Your body can't take it anymore. Your mind can't take it up anymore. Your blood flow, like things of your body, everything leading up to the 12th house. You get what I'm saying? Like your existence, everything leading up to the 12th house is pressure. You don't know how to release it, and your body becomes that entity, physical entity that's letting you know, listen, this has to be released. You're trapping yourself. Look at what you're doing now. You go to the hospital. they get everything regulating back again, and the doctor comes and tells you, okay, you just suffered this traumatic event. You could have lost your life. You could have became paralyzed. Maybe you did. All right. What we need you to do is we need you to get your blood flowing right. We need to get oxygen pumping to your heart the way that it needs to be. And that's going to help your blood to flow right. And we need you to stop that work or stop that interaction that's stressing you out. And you start taking these steps to undoing these knots that ended you up with the high blood pressure, with the stroke, with the, and then releasing yourself ultimately. The house of the undoing. Okay, so let's say now, you take your subconscious mind and it's things stored in there. You come into this life, you're afraid of intimacy. You got some sort of significant talent. I don't know. Maybe, you want to join the circus, but you come from a family of doctors. Maybe you want to read tarot cards, but you come from a religious background. Maybe you want to become Islamic, but you're Christian. Maybe you want to become Christian, but your family is Buddhist. Maybe you want to sing, but you're completely shy. All you remember is you wake up in the middle of the night out of a cold sweat in a dream, and you're frightened and terrified of singing in front of other people. But you can sing, you can blow like a canary. All of this is stemming from some events that took place somewhere where you feel like you were extremely humiliated, embarrassed, abused, restricted, reduced. And you tell yourself, I will never, ever do it again. I will never give anybody the chance to humiliate me again. I will never give anybody a chance to manipulate me again. I will never. And there you go, forming this ball again. Storing these emotions. Someone comes, they land their moon, their Venus, sometimes even their sun. If they land their sun there in your 12th house, they're going to illuminate all this. You're going to also trigger some things for them, where they may not be such a big shot as they thought. Where you're going to forgive them for some of the harm, the way that they mishandled you. You start to feel yourself opening up. But you're afraid. You are afraid because at the same time, you're scared. So at the same time, you letting this person run amok with their ego, whatever, is triggering them too. Because you're reflecting back to them a lot of where they're really insecure at, and they're putting up a front with the sun. Now, I'm just giving an example. The Venus, the moon, all this changes when one of these hit the house. But we know, what I'm saying. But the point that I'm trying to make is that now we have this, okay, no, this person is, I'm out of my comfort zone. There's things that's being triggered that I don't know if I want to see. I'm having visions of me singing again. And then, for all you know, this happened in the past life where you was booed off the stage, at the Apollo. And it wouldn't have been Apollo wherever it was. You get what I'm saying here? Or when you were a kid, you went up and you stood up in front of some people and you forgot your part. Now you don't want to sing in front of people out of having that fear. Or you were some type of way manipulated or abused when you were younger. Taken advantage of. Spilt your secrets. You thought somebody could help you, but they couldn't. They used you and said, whatever happened to you, and this is under a, you see this play out for people that has experienced traumatic events they just don't want to remember anymore. Entity possession takes place here too. Yeah. That's a whole other video. It could take place here too. This is a portal, a metaphysical portal and gateway. But the point that I'm trying to make is when you release this stuff, okay, imagine somebody praying to God and they're like, God, I can't handle any of this. I'm giving it all to you. I can't be stressed anymore. Universe, take this burden off. It has to be existing for a reason. Maybe I am or not part of that reason. You know, it could just be where you don't want to deal with it, whatever the case may be. Some people take drugs. Some people drink. Heavy drug affiliation here too. You can find yourself doing this with a partner to where you both go into some form of escapism together. There could be some sort of fantasy or romanticism around the partnership. And this, like, it creates some type of safety bubble for both of you. And not having that person makes you insecure. Now you're left with all the stuff you were dealing with highlighted out in the open for you to deal with. And you didn't want to bring it up. So there's these different series of emotions and experiences coming up. And you're just like, you just left me here to deal with all of this? To really deal with myself? How dare you? Or you're dealing with a person, they can't let go of their addictions, they can't let go of their lifestyle, they can't let go of what it is that they want to do. They've now found themselves, however you want to put it, and you know, things are triggered for them, and you're just like, wow. So I'm not good enough for the better version of yourself. It's so many things that happens in this 12th house. And this 12th house is also a soulmate connection type house as well. Although this person in their interaction with you could be a haunting thing, could be a lasting thing, this is where you establish an unconditional love, definitely. Because you have to say, sometimes I love this person enough to let them go. And you have to tell yourself like that, this just because I came across this person, it does not mean that we will be together. And you have to let every last thing that's going to rear its ugly head and it's going to show up, you got to go and you got to do it. And one day, you got to turn on that video, you got to turn on that camera, and you got to sing. And I am telling you, I'm not going. You're the best love I ever known. And there is no way. No way. I'm living without you. See those? No, I'm being serious. You gotta go and you gotta say, dag on it. I'm reading my tarot cards. I am going to be Islamic. I want to lay down my burdens with Christ. Hey, this is not, all I'm saying is just I can't come here and listen, to be honest, I feel like you can learn off of anything. It ain't something I'm condoning. I'm coming as an astrologer, and I'm talking to you. So that's when you realize that person left you there with your burdens, but those burdens and that stuff, it is there for you to sort through. The house of the undoing. And you say, you know what? Dang. Even if you got to go and use that pain and that hurt for some type of point of bounce back. You know, like every time I think about the way that I was done or the way I feel like I was left, that gives me the fuel, that gives me the energy to just come and just succeed. Overcome drugs. You might say, you know, you hit rock bottom here, and there's nowhere else left to go but to release yourself. That's what makes this house so hard. All right, so there you have it. I have went from the 1st to the 12th house. The 12th house also represents hospitals, prisons, jails. You got to be careful if you got placements aspect in this 12th house, because either you're going to have family members, like people you know that has went to jail, been incarcerated, possibly you doing some things to get incarcerated. You know, this is, you know, hospital where you might end up, you know, having surgeries and stuff of that nature. If you got the Saturn here, or maybe even a moon placement, you know, certain placements here, Capricorn, there's other placements too. It just depends on your whole chart. You might have a father that you don't see, a mother that you don't see, out that's on alcohol, drugs, 9th house as well, especially the 12th house. This is about spiritual beliefs as well. This is about, you know, somebody that might be occultic, just like in the 8th house. Spiritual knowledge. Self-sabotage, same thing in the 8th house. Blindness, like literally blindness, or just not willing to see and face up to what's really going on in your life, in the world. Victimizations, actually becoming a victim of someone else's, you know, psychological issues, or victimizing yourself. Excuses going on. See, you see how one thing connects to the other, and this could just keep going on and on. So I'm gonna stop there. I hope I've answered your prayer. Like, I literally have talked and talked and talked in this video, and I touched on some things in the way I look at the houses, and I look at some planets that's placed there. And you are welcome to, you know, email me and ask questions that you want me to answer on video. You are welcome to drop them in the comment section. I'm fine with that. I don't answer and reply all the time, but I try to respond. Sometimes if you catch me responding you quick, I'm literally sitting right there by my phone doing nothing, and then something pops up and I'm just like, okay, well, let me respond to this. Okay, so check out the video that I'm going to do on star-crossed lovers, because that's going to be next. And just my other synastry placements, and I'm going to be doing just planet placements in the chart, period. Okay? I do want to thank you guys for viewing and watching. Like, a lot of it, I just be using my sense of humor too inside the videos. I appreciate you guys. I really do. All right? Okay, till next time.